So, Chinese mythology. There are actually 5 views to how we can study Chinese mythology. The first and most consistent historically is that no myth exists. This is not to say that there were none existing at all, only that there is no evidence showing an attempt to explain the world's origin. Well, that's a little boring, so let's move on. The second view is very indirect. It is merely based on a question of a dialogue in an earlier reference. The idea in the question implies that the heavens and earth separated from one another. The third view is that of Taoism. In it, Tao is described as the ultimate force behind the creation. With Tao, nothingness gave rise to existence, existence gave rise to yin and yin and yang gave rise to everything. The fourth view is a relatively late myth of Pangu. Like many other myths, even this one varies. So, in the beginning, there was darkness everywhere, and chaos ruled. Within the darkness, there formed an egg, and inside the egg, the giant Pangu came into being. He felt suffocated, so he took up an axe and wielded it with all his might to crack open the egg. The light, clear part of it floated up and formed the heavens. The cold, turbid matter stayed below to form the earth. Pangu stood in the middle, his head touching the sky, his feet planted on the earth, and so was formed earth and sky, yin and yang. Pangu saw what had happened and he was pleased. But he feared that heaven and earth might melt together to create chaos again, so he placed himself between them, his head holding up the sky and his feet firmly upon the earth. Pangu continued to grow at a rate of 10 feet a day for 18,000 years, so increasing the distance between heaven and earth until they seemed fixed and secure, 30,000 miles apart. Now exhausted, Pangu went back to sleep and never woke up. Pangu died and his body went to make the world and all its elements. The wind and clouds were formed from his breath, his voice was thunder and lightning, his eyes became the sun and the moon, his arms and his legs became the 4 directions of the compass, and his trunk became the mountains. His flesh turned into soil and the trees that grow on it, his blood into the rivers that flow and his veins into paths men travel. His body hair became the grass and herbs, and his skin the same, while precious stones and minerals were formed from his bones and teeth. His sweat became the dew, and the hair of his head became the stars and trail throughout heaven. As for the parasites on his body, well, they were the first of the humankind. Although Pangu is dead, some say he is still responsible for the weather, which changes to his moods. According to this myth, Pangu was the first supreme being and the originator of heaven and earth. He is typically depicted as a dwarf, though he was actually a giant, covered in hair and leaves, with horns fixed atop of his head. In another version, the south of China, up in heaven, the god in charge of earth, King Gao Xin, owned a beautiful spotted dog. He reared him on a plate, pan in Chinese, inside the gourd, hu in Chinese, which is close to San Gu, so the dog was known as Pangu. King Gao Xin hated his rival King Fang, so he promised to marry his daughter to whoever brings him Fang's head. Yep, it's another of this kind of story. Anyway, the dog Pangu overheard what was said, and when Gao Xin was sleeping, slipped out of the palace and ran to King Fang. He was glad to see the dog standing there wagging his tail and held a banquet for the dog. At midnight, when all was quiet and Fang was overcome with drink, Pangu jumped onto the king's bed, bit off his head and ran back to his master with it. King Gao Xin was overjoyed to see the head of his rival and gave orders to bring Pangu some fresh meat, but Pangu left the meat untouched and curled himself up in a corner to sleep. The king was puzzled and asked, "Why don't you eat? Is it because I failed to keep my promise of marrying a dog?" To his surprise, Pangu began to speak. "Don't worry, my king. Just cover me with your golden bell and in 7 days and 7 nights I'll become a man." Somehow. The king did as he said, but on the 6th day, fearing he would starve to death, the princess peeped under the bell. Pangu's body had already changed into that of a man, but his head was still that of a dog. He married the princess, but she didn't want to be seen with such a man, so they moved to the earth and settled in the remote mountains of South China. There they lived happily and had 4 children, 3 boys and a girl, who became the ancestors of mankind. In another story, after Pangu died and created everything in the world, a powerful being came to existence called Hua Su. Hua Su gave birth to a twin brother and sister called Fuxi and Nuwa, while sometimes Nuwa is alone. According to legend, Nuwa came to Earth before there were any people. Nuwa became lonely and decided to make copies of herself from mud in a pool. Some versions state that she created them with her brother and husband, Fuxi. The figures she created came to life and wandered off to populate the earth. After a while, Nuwa realized that it would take too long to fill the earth with people if she made each one by hand, So she took a rope, dipped it into the mud, and flung the drops of mud in all directions. Each drop became a separate human being. And I think I landed at that. Thank you for watching. Bye.